Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. I sure was. Can y'all hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. I just fixed it. I might have to go out and come back in, but it should be okay. I had it muted on the main side because anytime I record a screen recording of a video or anything and I'm typing, even if I have it where it's just recording the screen and not the microphone, you can still hear me like click clacking away. So I have to always make sure that the main mic is on mute. Awesome. You guys ready to go through these? I'm so glad we finally got something. I'm so glad we got something with some substance. Finally. Thank you for joining, Jen. I very much appreciate it. Welcome. As for the little conversation y'all are having in here about death threats and Twitter, I have like a little group of incels over there that just got their rocks on for me, bro. Every time I post anything, they are absolutely insane over there running their mouths to me. It is so freaking hilarious. I had one tell me that he hopes that I get red rummed so that people could speculate about what happened to me, even though everyone here would know that it was my ex. So there's really no speculation on that part. Like, people are horrible and stupid. And I'm just like, somebody didn't love you. Something's wrong with you. Yeah, people are crazy. Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, Twiz is always going back and forth. Oh, yeah. My ex is crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, they hate me. They hate me. Okay. They hate me. And they are the first people to interact with anything I post on Twitter, like a bunch of obsessed psychopaths. They're watching this right now. Hi. People are actually nuts. People are actually nuts. Yes, big ones, but not, I mean, okay, let's say yes, big ones, but also kind of not at the same time. Oh, you can see my TV. Let me move my TV. Hold on a second. Okay, my TV's gone now. It's on this little stand thing, so I can just like move around. And sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. Yeah, people are crazy. People are nuts. And they'll be in your inbox talking shit. And I'm like, you don't even know these people. I'm just reading the documents. What you mad for? People are dumb. People are crazy. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a couple guys here on YouTube too. People are wild. There's one in particular that like lives in another country and really has it hard. And I'm like, wow, bro. I touched all the nerves. I'm like, I'll keep on touching them. Come on, keep on hating on me, little boys. It's totally fine. Oh, Twiz is everywhere. Twiz is like, I told you this. You were stupid. I told you were stupid. Twiz is everywhere. He's so funny. I've been watching him go off on Twitter all day. Well, I hope that today makes it better. I hope that coming on here and listening to me run my mouth and get all crazy makes it a little bit better for you. I appreciate you being here. Right? Look, like, I carry everywhere for a reason. Like, come on, you want to talk your mouth to me? Oh, the Jack Russell dude, he's light compared to these psycho incel weirdos I got over there on Twitter. And then apparently they go over there and talk shit about me on Reddit too. I'm like, okay, well, have at it. What you mad for? I'm not making shit up. I'm reading you the documents. Why are you mad? Because I can read better than you? I don't understand. Yeah, I call him Twizzle. He's so funny. Oh, your first one. There's somebody else in here that was the first one too. Well, welcome. We're going over some very important documents tonight. Are you serious? Dude is such a loser. Somebody was like, how dare you use that dog to talk to people like that? Leave that dog alone. Yeah, and comprehension skills. It's wild. It's wild. Now, I did see a couple of you talking about hearing that Bryan Kohberger had said something to the police officers in the back of the police car about like going to get coffee and that y'all hadn't seen it. I'm going to show it to you guys because it's in there. Now, the document that I was working on, not the document, well, the document video that I was working on whenever all of these dropped was the rest of the like neuropsychological evaluation information about his brain mapping, his other diagnoses, his dexterity issues, like all that stuff. So I'm going to end up putting the document that I'm going to show you that this came from like in that one. Hopefully tomorrow night, maybe, or Sunday, the neurological one will be completed because I want to have all of the information in there that we have so far. And the one that I got started on was on 3/17. And I think that we have two more sets of like a response from there. So it should be all together so that we have all of his like diagnosis issue when it comes to his OCD, autism, and the big word that basically just means that he has like a dexterity issues with things will all be in one thing. But tonight we're going to go over the Cy-Ray affidavits. They're wild. They're wild, but then again, stuff that we've sort of known already. That's why I'm like, why are you people angry that the questions that we were asking have been being asked for the right reasons? There's information missing. There's been how many different times that things have apparently been handed over and the state is like, I don't know what they're talking about. We've given them everything that we've got. What else are we supposed to do? Well, apparently it's not good enough because you're not being able to tell your story. And Cy-Ray has said that on the stand. He has now said that again in these documents. Now, again, I'm not even going to mention the name, but I don't know why a certain group of creators came out here a few months back and tried to throw like a huge, I guess, like shake up the people that are asking questions by trying to claim that Cy-Ray was no longer working on the case. Like they just randomly out of nowhere with no instigation whatsoever, a collective of like 2 or 3 of these channels, they get together with the same story and it's inaccurate. It's wrong. Because here we have him once again blasting the state's bullshit out of the water and doing it again for the very first time for the defendant. Normally trying to put those guys away. This time he's like, no, no, no. And nay. Something's wrong here. Something stinks. No, this is not going to happen. But I also like the fact that in this document that we have, we get some information about how Cy-Ray really was kind of like one of the first people that the FBI seemed to have reached out to when it comes to even interpreting this type of record from AT&T. We're going to read some of his credentials that are on here because a lot of people, it does look like some people in the comments, in the chat, aren't really quite up to date with who Cy-Ray is. It's been a long time since anything about him in the case has been mentioned. And I am sure that there's a bunch more people following along now that maybe didn't get to listen to his testimony before. So that's another thing that we're probably going to end up doing over the next few days. I'm sure some other channels will probably beat me to it by the time I get to it. But I'd also like to sit down and re-go over his testimony from whenever he actually did take the stand and re-listen to what he had to say then with that set of discovery that he saw versus what he's telling us now that he's seen several different sessions of discovery, because he mentions up to like 3, I think. It's a lot. It's a lot of information. We're going to go back over it for sure. Thank you for the $5, Julie Glenn. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me show you the paper that some of you guys are wondering about what he said. Okay. I need to get this up here though. Add. Okay. And again, this is going to be in a big document, not document. Why do I keep saying that? In a big video that I put together of all of the psych information so that all of the psych information is together in one thing. I'm trying to do it more in like subject than just like data drop so that it's not so everywhere because there's so much information. Like we've got to slow it down and break it down a little bit simpler. Okay, let's see if I can get this bigger now so you guys can actually see it. Oh, and I did put the document from last night's live in the shared drive. I don't know if the members got my email. It lets me like email the people that have access to it so far. So if you are a member and you don't have access to it yet, the shared drive where I put the highlighted stuff, I don't put every document in there. Let's like this one's not going to be in there. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and drop this link for this document in here. It's just the document itself. When I go in and like heavily highlight and take notes, I've been going in and putting them into the share drive, just like a recent thing that I've started doing. That's not going to happen tonight because I just didn't highlight nothing. Mostly everything he has to say in here is extremely important. But for right now, there's the link. You guys can follow along to the Necky version if you want to. This is the one for this information, the one that y'all were asking about seeing, about where he said something about going to get coffee with the arresting officers. I'm going to read this paragraph and then we'll move on to the subject at hand. Okay. This says, finally, the state argues that Mr. Kohberger is competent, and for that reason, Atkins does not apply. Competence is constantly being assessed, and the reason Dr. Ryan's report refers to the issue is because his ASD, his autism, impacts his ability to assist counsel and understand the proceedings he faces. See, I have kind of like issues with that one because of his career path. People act like I agree with everything that the defense does, and that's not true. There's plenty of things they've come out to try to say, and I'm like, and you might want to sit down on that one. I'm just not quite too sure. There's no way in hell anyone's going to try to make me believe that Bryan Kohberger is incompetent when it comes to understanding what's happening to him when it comes to this criminal thing. Maybe understanding what's being pointed at him, being truly innocent, maybe not understanding maybe the severity levels, being able to appropriately emote the situation because of the way that his behaviors are. But to say that just because he asks a certain question or maybe behaves a certain way and that leads to maybe he's a little bit incompetent, that's sort of like them allowing the stereotype that they don't want him having on him in front of the jury. In my opinion, it's very hypocritical. Okay, let's go ahead and read this. Okay. By way of example, when he was arrested in his home with a full SWAT team, doors broken, and parents zip-tied, he made small talk with the detective in the back of the car during the ride to the police station. He asked the officer about his education and suggested that they get coffee at a later date. He did not perceive the profoundly serious nature of the moment and exhibited no perception of what was happening. And then they bring up competency. Bullshit. If he's truly innocent and he's really well, my phone's going to prove that I wasn't anywhere near that house, that I didn't have anything to do with this, he's probably not thinking that he's not going to get out of jail. So maybe he's having a normal conversation. Or his autism just makes him socially awkward, and so he doesn't know what the frick else to say, and so he's trying to make it normal. I don't freaking know. But I don't think that him having this sort of reaction, that is a difference emotion-wise than we would normally think somebody would have, means that he's incompetent in understanding the severity of the situation, if that makes any sense. If that makes any sense. I just feel like he would understand what's happening. He's immersed himself in this long enough where he would definitely have some sort of understanding. It is an odd statement. I mean, I don't disagree. It is odd that after you've been held at pew-pew point and your old parents are zip-tied in their own home in the middle of the freaking night that you want to go and get freaking coffee with the dude. That's an awkward-ass statement. But I don't think it leads to incompetency. I'm going to see what y'all all say. Right? It's more like social awkwardness. Right? It's like, well, if I'm innocent and I don't have shit to worry about, then yeah, bro, we'll go get coffee and talk about it afterwards, right? Exactly, he would have an understanding. That's why, I don't agree with everything the defense tries to throw out here. I'm like, we're not gonna do that. Because for the longest time, what has everyone been claiming? That he's gotta be, brainstorming a little bit with Ann Taylor about stuff. Now, granted, of course, he's not in school to be a lawyer or when it comes to, any of the law stuff. But when it comes to crime scene and handling a crime scene and doing the investigations, that's literally what he's been doing for almost a decade. Trying to learn these things, right? People are misconstruing and throwing a false negative impression over what the DeSales paperwork says. And the DeSales paperwork is how to keep a crime scene pristine from contaminants so that you can actually solve the case and get the bad guy. It's not about being the perfect criminal. Honestly, like I said yesterday, Moscow could take that and learn something from it. Oh, thank you for rejoining, Sarah. Haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing? But yeah, I just don't agree with that whole thing. Like, they're definitely like, you're competent. Like, he would definitely understand. It's the social cues. Yeah. It's like it's an awkward ass conversation. It's a weird thing to say. It's definitely like not for the timing. See, and that's why I told my friend, bro, right there. I said, you know what I hear? Sometimes I wish that I would just like play, because me and him just like, it's easier for us to voice chat about what we're thinking about this case than text it, because we're going a mile, like 1,000 miles a minute when we're like thinking about what's happening here. And that's basically the same thing that I said. I said, this to me almost sounds like he's looking down on this dude and being like, well, because he's a TA with, getting his PhD, and he's like, what do you got? Okay. You know what I mean? I don't know. Oh, well, I'm glad that you're here. Oh, it's not letting me click on you, Sarah. It's freezing on me. It might be because we're having a little bit of a storm, but it won't let me re-click on you. That's wild. But let me click on Robin. It did. Well, let me re-click on Sarah. Now it will. It must have froze for a second. Thank you for rejoining too, Robin. I've seen you in there before under that green. Too much to handle. Thank you for joining. Exactly. He wouldn't be so highly recommended for the doctoral program if he doesn't understand things. That's my point. He's either being like a hella smart ass. That was my first reaction. He's looking down on them. He's like, you lowly ass cop. That's my opinion. Not that like cops are lowly, but whenever you got like a PhD and there's multiple agencies to where no education whatsoever is even required, not even in criminal justice, you basically just have to pass like a physical test and then you get a cop. You get to be a cop, which is scurry. Super scary. I don't know. I just feel like he's either being a super smart ass or it's just his awkwardness in being autistic. I don't think this has anything to do with competency at all. But that's what y'all were looking for, and there it is. And again, this will be in the video where I go over all of the rest of it, and my mind will not change. I will definitely be like, we're not going to play this in competency game. That's one I'm not going to even let you even try to attempt, because it's just not going to happen. Okay. So let me show you guys, I guess, like the main page so that you guys can see there's stuff that just keeps on posting. Now I'm going to show you the two before Cyrase, because I don't know who this one guy is. He might be mentioned in one of the other documents, because we've gotten, again, more documents when it comes to expert testimony and other things that I haven't been able to go fully over just yet. But there's a declaration being attached from a guy named Josiah Roloff about the text messages, and it's sealed. And I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he's going to have to say about anything, but whatever he has to say about the text messages being admitted, that's being completely sealed off. Oh, I didn't even show it right here. This guy right here. You see, it's just like 2 pages. It's just the fact that something is being submitted from this guy. And then we have another one. Let me get rid of this one. About the dollhouse. There's more documents being mentioned about the dollhouse. They just now got all those Pharaoh scans. Like, I can't remember the date, so I'm not going to try to pretend like I even remember the date. I just think in my brain it happened, I think, in like February. I want to say it was February. And again, I could be wrong, going off memory. But they just recently got all the Pharaoh scans. Like, this dollhouse thing has apparently been in talks since like the original trial date. And they didn't even know who was creating it or anything else that was going to be happening with it. Oh, no, right here. Okay. This guy who is talking about this part is getting the Pharaoh scans, and there's over 100 of them. But it's basically just talking about how horrible it is and that this is not what they agreed to. But then I saw the state had an argument sort of about it, about how like, well, the defense didn't try to save the house. So why are you complaining about it now? And that's how I kind of feel. I think that's how most of us kind of feel when it comes to this house, because it never should have went anywhere. Pretty much everybody agrees that the house should have stood and never gone anywhere. And I kind of wondered if the defense was going to try to come back in later and try to say something about the fact that it was taken down and try to act like woe is me about it whenever they agreed to it. And it looks like I was right. They are trying to do that. They could have fought it the same way that the Goncalveses could have fought it, instead of going on an out of the country vacation, just the two Steves. they could have had Shannon filing things and stopping things. And I feel like the defense could have done more and really fought for it, especially trying to say that Bryan's innocent. You would think that would be more of a fight for you to keep the house up so that you could do more investigating, more of things, and then the state's also like, well, that request happened then and the house didn't come down until then and they had all this time to do this, that, and the third, and they didn't do it. So it's like, okay, is this going to end up being more of like an ineffective counsel situation because of now the house? Now people want to argue about the house. It's like a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother thing for a whole nother video. I'm already getting ahead of everything. All right, let me catch up on all the green stuff and then we'll get into the document. Let's see. Sandra, thank you for joining. And Jeannieville, member for a month. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, you. I have Asperger's and I'm fully competent. I believe you, Corinne. That's what I'm saying. There's just no way. Like, I had a friend that I used to karaoke with over a decade ago. Well, shit, 15 years ago now. Ariel was like 3 when I separated from their father and was going through a divorce. So she was, 15 years ago. And he was in Afghanistan, fought in the war, had come back, was in college for like really highly technical stuff. Like it was something in the tech field. He had Asperger's. You can tell he was just like a little bit hyper, a little bit socially awkward, but smart as hell. That's why I'm like, y'all can't play this he's not competent thing. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you do this. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Okay. Oh, let's see. Okay, so there's actually 2 from Cyray. There's 2. There's one when it comes to the AT&T advanced records, like the AT&T report. And then there's another one. See, this is the one for AT&T. And then there's another one that he wrote for the vague undisclosed expert testimony that has to do with Balance's cast report. And they go hand in hand. So we're going to have to go through both of them. We're going to read both of them and see what he has to say. And again, I've skimmed through some stuff. I'm seeing the arguments all over the place about what's happening. And it really does sound like he is calling them out on every little thing that he possibly can. And I mean, granted, this affidavit is very, very, very detailed. And Hippler said that both, okay, Bryan Kohberger has technically two, I guess, location experts. And the state, did the state not want them to be? Yeah, I think the state was the one who was like trying to get them not to come to the motion hearing that's happening on April the 9th. And the judge ordered for them to just be like on standby, basically on Zoom, because anything and everything that they have to say can be done through declaration. Well, how do you read something that's already causing this much fire for people that are paying attention to this case and then still say that you're not going to allow Cyray to testify on the 9th? Like, they're not, this has nothing to do with the trial. I guess some people also maybe thought that it did, and a couple of people were sort of like thinking that this meant the trial. I saw some of the comments, but no, this is just for April the 9th. It has nothing to do with the trial yet. Nothing to do with the trial. But it's just wild to me that like this information is literally saying all of this is wrong and this is all the reasons why. I think it would be better represented if he was able to go back and forth in a conversation in front of Hippler. Because if Hippler is going to sit there and try to act like he's like the expert of all and he can just like understand all this stuff, he's full of it. He's full of it, completely full of it. Okay, so we're going to read the one about the AT&T information first, because this is the one where Cyray makes a very, very bold statement, and it is the title of the thumbnail here on this video. He ends this by this paragraph, and I'm going to read this first, and then we're going to go back to the beginning. Make it bigger. In my nearly 30 years of working with and for prosecutors all over the United States, I have never witnessed such a deliberate attempt by prosecutors to mislead the court on evidence in such plain sight. Anyone making such a claim would have to believe the court is incapable of reviewing physical evidence in possession of the state and defense. It rises to a level beyond a simple miscommunication or oversight and is clear and intentional misrepresentation in the hopes to conceal a much larger issue. I respectfully request the court give this affidavit the due attention it deserves and explore these issues further. He isn't holding back. He's not holding back whatsoever. Literally not at all. This man is scary to the state. I don't really care what anyone tries to say. This guy has done this for decades. And this is the first time that he has decided that he is not going to sit there and try to put this guy behind bars because there's nothing in the discovery that proves that that's where he belongs. So for the very first time in his very, very long career, where he is very well known in this whole thing, by these people, by these prosecutors, by these judges, by these other experts, very well known, he's flipping the switch for the first time ever. And that scares the shit out the state. Don't let anyone tell you that that's not true. For him to make such a drastic change to the way that he conducts his entire life, knowing that everyone is going to be looking at him because this is literally a career-changing decision that he is making. This is literally make or break for Syre. If he is wrong and Bryan Kohberger is actually at that location, his entire career is over. He can forget his podcast. He can forget his little business. No one is going to give a hot damn about Syre. Syre who? No one cares. Literally. Okay? There's no way he's putting that much on the line for some guy that he doesn't know, that he doesn't, come on. There's just no way that you can't take that and be like, all right, I give it a little bit of a boost for those who just don't seem to care about it. And pro bono. Yes. And for free. Free. No money. Taking all the scrutiny, all the hate, all the insanity, all the possibilities of throwing it all away. And not even trying to make a big fat paycheck in case it does go wrong. Completely for free. That's important. That can't be ignored. That's a big deal to me. That's a big deal to me. That's just me. I see some of you agree. This is a big deal to me. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this affidavit because it's a lot of information. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and read through his background a little bit that he has in here because a lot of people, not a lot, but a few of them in here and in some of the comments previously aren't really quite sure who he is. So we're going to go ahead and read some of his information. And I guess let me show a photo real quick for those of you who really aren't too sure, maybe skimmed past the thumbnail. This is Syre. And he's been around for like a while. Like he really has been like around for like a long time, honestly. Okay. All right, now let me make sure y'all can see everything. Can I make it bigger? I can. Okay. I am an adult over the age of 18 and have personal knowledge of the facts set forth in this affidavit. I have been working in the field of call detail record analysis for over 25 years. I became a certified police officer in the state of Arizona in 1996. I worked with my first set of AT&T records in 1997. That's so long ago. I spent nearly 20 years in law enforcement in the primary role of a detective. I have worked hundreds of death investigations and consulted on over 1,000 homicide cases in my career. In my role as a detective, I gained extensive experience utilizing call detail records and exploiting cellular networks for investigative-related purposes. In 2014, I retired from law enforcement and started a business called ZX that created software for law enforcement to map and analyze call detail records. As part of that business, we maintained software that supported every known call detail record provided to law enforcement in the United States. To date, the system has analyzed over 3 billion calls from call detail records provided by cellular phone companies in the United States. In 2021, LexisNexis purchased ZX and to this date is still using and selling the software I created. As a result of this experience, I have worked directly with engineers at the cellular phone companies for over 2 decades and am intimately familiar with the type of data they maintain in the normal course of business and provide to law enforcement through a legal demand process. In addition to my law enforcement experience, I have instructed classes on utilizing cellular records in criminal investigations for nearly 20 years. He's taught this for 2 decades. It's a long time. I have had over 30,000 law enforcement officers attend these courses and or presentations on this subject matter. In 2014, I created the first geolocation cellular investigation subject matter expert course in this field, offered to state and local law enforcement officers. As a result of this work, I have established well-known and used best practices within the discipline of call detail record analysis. Over 1,000 law enforcement agencies have attended my courses on the subject matter of cellular record analysis, to include the FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals, DEA, and DHS. Through my work in this discipline, I am regularly consulted by the prosecution on investigations around the world. As a recognized subject matter expert in this field, I have testified on the matter more than 100 times throughout the United States in both federal and state courts. Apart from this case, all of my testimony in this field has been on behalf of the prosecution. It is only in rare cases and circumstances I have ever considered working on the side of the defense. I have worked extensively with timing advanced data from the cellular phone network providers over the past 15 years. I have testified to the use of timing advanced data numerous times. I have created and taught hundreds of classes on this subject matter to law enforcement. I am extremely familiar with the type of timing advanced records available from U.S. cellular providers, their retention periods, and the legal process to obtain those records. Lots of experience. Lots of experience. Timing advance. Timing advance records are maintained by cellular network providers that provide a time measurement. This time measurement refers to the amount of time it takes a radio signal to travel from a cell site to a mobile device and back to the cell site. Given this signal travels at a known constant speed of light, it is possible to use the measurement to determine the distance the mobile device is from a known cell site. When multiple cell sites record timing advanced data in short periods of time, it is possible to use trilateration to determine the location of a mobile device. The use of timing advanced data in this manner is one of the most accurate ways for law enforcement to locate a mobile device. Given these records are available in a historical context, it is possible to conduct an analysis of timing advanced data to pinpoint historical locations of a mobile device at a given date and time. It is also possible to determine routes of travel, stagnation, and when a mobile device is powered on and off. As a result of its accuracy, requesting timing advanced data has become a standard practice for all law enforcement in the United States and is regularly requested through legal process relating to a criminal investigation. Give me 1 second. Okay, AT&T timing advance. In August of 2021, I was approached by an FBI special agent to assist in analyzing a type of record set identified as AT&T timing advanced report, and it was the first time I was made aware of this type of data from AT&T. So he'd been doing this for over a decade at this point, and in 2021, a Fed comes up to him and is like, "Hey, I need your help with this." And he's like, "What's this? I've been doing this forever now. I don't have no clue what this is." So it must have been extremely, extremely new in 2021 for AT&T to have done this type of report, for him to have never seen it whenever that was literally his specialty, was analysis of those phone company records. That's wild to me. Upon request, I can provide the date, time, location, and the FBI agent I assisted with the record set. As of the year 2021, AT&T had not officially released a timing advanced report to law enforcement. Therefore, the ZX software program did not yet support AT&T timing advanced records. Okay. As a result of this interaction with the FBI, I obtained a copy of the timing advance reports from the special agent and forwarded it to our software engineers to write code within the ZX system to support future uploads of this timing advance report format. The next day, I was informed by the special agent the AT&T timing advance report was not supposed to be released or viewed outside of the FBI, and that individual requested I return the report and not have any software developed to support the data they had shown me. It's like some underground secret project that it's like his credentials weren't high enough. Your security clearance isn't high enough. You can't see this AT&T timing advance report record. Why reach out to him to begin with? That's wild. I did return the report. However, due to the interaction explained here, there is a paper trail documenting the facts of this interaction because they did create software stuff. There was code written. That's cray-cray. I have firsthand knowledge that AT&T was providing the FBI with timing advance reports prior to August of 2021, meaning I'm snitching on y'all. I know what y'all were doing, so don't act like you weren't doing it. During my careers working with call detail records from every cellular provider in the United States, I have been involved with thousands of cases in which call detail records are obtained from these companies. Leading the way in the establishment of best practices within this field of investigation, I wrote and provided custom search warrants for every provider and distributed them to thousands of law enforcement officers in the United States, assisting them in the legal process of obtaining the vast and ever-growing amount of data sets offered by cellular providers. So he even helps write the warrant templates. That's wild. He kind of does like a little bit of everything when it comes to this kind of thing. I have worked with the AT&T Global Legal Demand Center, or the GLDC, for over 15 years. I have firsthand knowledge that the AT&T GLDC is one way, not the only way, for law enforcement to obtain call detail records from AT&T. I have firsthand knowledge that there is another way to obtain call detail records from AT&T without going through GLDC. Over the course of many years, AT&T has had several different programs in partnership with federal law enforcement, primarily the FBI, that allow for call detail records to be disseminated to the FBI without going through the standard GLDC process. So all these loopholes, like the ones that Judge Hitler doesn't seem to care about, they exist. He's not saying that anyone's wrong in the loopholes that were taken, but he's just literally saying that it doesn't matter, that all these rules are technically being broken. It's wild. Okay. The first AT&T timing report I was presented and had a chance to review, had become familiar with in August of 2021, was obtained from AT&T through one of these programs, not through the GLDC. I have been involved in numerous investigations where AT&T call detail records were obtained through these AT&T programs outside of GLDC. I have firsthand knowledge and experience in working with individuals at AT&T associated with these other programs. One such individual is Boyd Jackson. Mr. Jackson is a program director at AT&T who manages many of the programs I am referencing. Mr. Jackson is the primary contact for the FBI when requesting records outside of the standard GLDC process. This is about the GLDC disseminating timing advanced reports. The state is correct. This is where we're getting to some specifics. The state is correct in their claim that AT&T GLDC did not provide law enforcement with AT&T timing advance reports until May of 2023. As a matter of fact, in May of 2023, which is also grand jury month, the working group known as GLDC had only begun their storage of timing advance records. The first official release of AT&T timing advance data was not provided to law enforcement until June 15th of 2023 by GLDC. In 2022, the FBI obtained AT&T timing advance records from another source outside of GLDC. So there should be another search warrant for another company then, where this information came from. Yeah, he's obviously got like lots of them because he's out here saying like, I don't know why you lying about everything because I'm literally calling you out and I'm literally telling you exactly the name and everything about what's happening here. Everything. I know, like seriously, I'm sure he's got some sort of protection because he's out here saying names, calling them feds out. I mean, damn, seriously, abolish the Fed. Can we just get rid of it already? Because what have they done? What have they done? Let's just stop for a second. Some of you that have been here since the beginning know that around, I guess it was like a few months after Kylie's case, which is the reason, Kylie Rodney's case, which is the reason why I'm even like on here. There was a case of a girl named Shanquella Robinson. And she went to Mexico with a bunch of not friends and ended up getting killed there within 24 hours of getting there. And the Mexican government had a arrest warrant for the woman who was responsible for her broken spine and taken her life. And our government, the FBI here, under the Biden administration, like refused to help them extradite that chick to Mexico. Seriously, just didn't care. The FBI did their own investigation and were like, there's nothing we can do about it. But the Mexican government was like, oh no, she had her life taken from her. We have everything on video. There was video of Shanquella getting the ever living hell beat out of her. She's naked. She's getting thrown around like a rag doll. We have eyewitnesses. There's literally 6 names. We call them the Cabo 6. There's 6 names of people out there. Our federal government refused to help that family get help and justice for their daughter. And now they're having to file civil cases. The people that are still out there running around that know the truth are trying to move the civil case to Mexico. All kind of crazy stuff's going on. And why? Because our FBI refused to step up and do the right thing. The Fed is useless. The Fed is useless. Yes, a whole group of 6 people, and they all decided to just be horrible. And they're getting away with it. They're getting away with it. I gotta do an update on that one because there's like new stuff that just came out like yesterday, and I'm like, holy crap, wild stuff, disgusting. That doesn't make it like makes me literally just never want to go out and like meet people. I literally say to myself, because you just can't trust anyone. Some of these people were people that she'd known for like years and years and years, and one of them went back home, like went back to the United States and sat at her parents' dinner table and lied to them to their faces. A man that had known that family for like years and years and years, that was considered a best friend to her. No, thank you. I'm just going to stay with like the internet conversations that I have and just forget the real humans because that's scary. I'm sorry. Not happening. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Not going on vacation. I'm going to stay right here in my bubble. That's what I'm about to do. Okay. Oh, I just saw some green stuff. What happened? Lisa. 20 memberships. Thank you so much. I must have been ranting my face off and missed it. Thank you so much. And congratulations to those of you who got the memberships. Yeah. Okay. I got to do an update. I have to. I totally have to. Okay. Again, more specifics. So let's buckle your butts up because we get into some specific stuff. AT&T timing advance records in the state's possession. In the state of Idaho's possession regarding this case. During this investigation, law enforcement obtained the following AT&T timing advance data. 2 of the victims had AT&T phones. Law enforcement obtained AT&T timing data on both of their phones. Here's the one. Somebody who just said, hey, what happened to that main suspect right here? Law enforcement developed an early investigative lead in this case. That person had an AT&T phone at the time of the crime. Law enforcement obtained his AT&T timing advance data. Now, you remember, we talked about how there was a report that came out way back in the day. I ended up finding it whenever I was going back through Sleuthy Goosey's old Twitter stuff about like exculpatory evidence. And this one article happened to pop up. It's mentioning Bethany and the exculpatory evidence, but it's also mentioning how the cops went like 25 to 30 miles the opposite direction towards like Troy and Kendrick, I think it's called, like other towns like farther past Moscow. But then whenever we got the information in the PCA about Bryan, Like we're learning that it's a living affidavit. So whatever information that they were inputting into the affidavit at the time that they were going all these other places and not looking into Bryan, all that information stayed in that PCA. It was never removed. It was just edited down, which is why a lot of it is all like misconstrued and screwed up, because they just kept editing it over and over again as a living document. So I'm wondering if this person, this guy that they got the timing advance data for, is the one that they were actually following all the way out there to Troy and Kendrick, 30 miles past Moscow. I don't know. And I don't know like anything at all about the guy that his DNA was found underneath Maddie's nails, fingernail clippings. I don't know exactly the truth about this guy. I just know that there's been a lot of things that I've seen being talked about this guy that are very repetitive. And it's interesting. I don't want to like just come out here and just say a bunch of stuff because I don't know if it's true. But I'll just say that there's like a military background, there's a cooking background, and it's just odd, the location information. I have to dig into it because I really want to know who this person is, because nobody is like jumping up and being like, well, there's a couple people. It's very like few, not a lot of people have been able to like find information on this guy. And some of the stuff that I was saying earlier from Reddit, like they're saying that whenever they go to try to find this guy on social media, he's using a different last name, which is weird. I mean, maybe it's not weird because maybe he knew his name would pop up in this case eventually. And so he's kind of like had the jump on social media in order to like hide a little bit, which, you know, if that's true and it's all innocent, more power to you, bro. But she had a whole boyfriend. So why the hell is some random ass dude's DNA like in her fingernail clippings? I have an issue with that. Just random little tidbit of information being there with no explanation. I don't know, but I just don't know. No, it wasn't Kopaka. Yeah, a Cole guy. I just don't know. His was considered inconclusive. Yeah. Yeah. And her fingernail clipping. See, I heard that too, but I also heard that he grew up or lived in the same freaking gated community that Kohberger did. So I don't know. That's why I'm like, I haven't like came out with anything because I don't know for sure. Yeah, I heard Louder, I think, was the street he apparently lived on. That's the biggest question. That's the biggest question right there. Why no IgG DNA for the DNA under the fingernails or the blood on the handrails or inside the glove? And it's just like I said, they're using CODIS as like an excuse, but there is no excuse. You had multiple different avenues that could have been taken to test all of that stuff to completion. You didn't have to stop at anything being inconclusive. Why would you stop at anything being inconclusive? Why wouldn't you keep going until you got to an answer? Why would you just allow it to be an unknown DNA? Why wouldn't you force yourself to make sure that you went every avenue and every route possible to get all of the answers? When Brett Payne comes out and says, oh, well, we had Bryan Kohberger's name, so whenever we got the report back about the handrail blood and the blood in the glove, we just put it to the side and said we'll come back to it later, but then they never did. And that's exactly what he said on the stand happened. They had a main suspect, then they got Bryan Kohberger's name on the 19th of December, and then after that, the report came in about the other unknown DNA, and they were like, well, we can't run it through CODIS, which is bullshit. We can't run it through CODIS, so we're just going to have to deal with it later. Okay, well, eventually you took Bryan's information or whatever this knife sheath crap is out of CODIS in order to do whatever the hell else you had to do, because it's not like that was the only case that you were working. So why? Why is there just no answers? And why are the families not more mad about that? At least not vocally. At least the one family that is out here being vocal. How come they're not more vocal about the fact that there's so many unknown male DNA in a situation where 4 people lost their lives? You know, you would think they'd want to know. You would really think that they would want to know. I just don't get that. So stupid. Okay. Law enforcement also requested a tower dump consisting of AT&T timing advanced data. This request involved AT&T providing all of the connections between two specific cell sites in Moscow during a 2-hour period. The data produced was AT&T timing advanced data. In all, there were over 3,800 AT&T mobile phones identified in the timing advanced tower dump data. So that original AT&T warrant, and I'll go pull it up, that we saw. Can y'all hear my 7-year-old singing the TurboTax commercial? Let's see. So the original AT&T warrant that was literally just for the tower itself came back with almost how many? Almost 4,000 phones. Let me see. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Yeah. So when this AT&T, I guess I'm just assuming this is the right one. Now, there was something I was brought to my attention today about DoorDash warrants that somebody posted. I think Annie Potts posted something about the DoorDash warrant dates being off. I think I see what's going on there. Maybe she figured it out and talked about it already. I don't know. But I'm saying that to say this. This is just the AT&T warrant that we see. From what I'm thinking is going on with the DoorDash warrant dates, my camera is moving because I'm having to move my desk because everything seems wonky. I'm mentioning that because the situation with that seems like we've only seen one warrant and there's more than one DoorDash warrant. And I think that there's a possibility that that's the situation with a lot of different things. But for this instance, this looks like the original AT&T warrant that they wanted a tower dump for. Now, this is not for a 2-hour period, though. This is for, looks to be a 2-day period. And this paper said that it was for a what? A 2-hour period. So I guess maybe that's a little bit different. Then I don't even know how many. See, that has to be a completely different search warrant. If they actually served a warrant for this information anyway, for there to be this 2-hour period on there. Anyway, whatever. 3,800 phones on this tower dump information in a 2-hour period. So can you imagine how many phones they had to go through for a 2-day tower dump of information for just 2 hours, almost 4,000 phones? That's a lot. That's a lot of information. The AT&T timing advanced data was obtained by the FBI using an internal source at AT&T, Mr. Boyd Jackson, calling him out by name, who is not associated with the GLDC working group. GLDC was not used to obtain this data. Okay, so why do we have stuff that's self-authenticated and signed by them that we just went over yesterday? See, the state's playing games, bro. The state, I feel, is playing like major games more than they already were. There are affidavits in here, and I could be jumping the gun, and he could say that there's another report or whatever that GLDC did or whatever he's going to end up saying. That's a big possibility. But for right now, in the train of thought that I'm in at this current moment in time, I am showing you that when we went through this damn live yesterday and went through all of the stuff that they have now taken out, left in, and all the things, there's documents in here considered certified, authentic, whatever the frick, signed by people at GLDC. And there was multiple of them. There was more than one. I know they're in here. I know I'm not tripping. I'll go back to my whole live and find it. I swear on everything. Bullshit. It's got to be in here. I know I'm not tripping. You know what? GLDC. Will it find it? Oh, look, I'm not tripping. It's right here. And there was multiple. Okay, see, GLDC. This guy named Mike Figueroa talking about how this is their stuff and it's authentic. And this is dated 12/23 of 22. Then we have another one. Is it the same file number? It's the same file number. 35861623586. The same one. And this one is signed by Stephen Gordon. This is a search warrant dated 12/22/22. Is that this one? 12/22/22? No, 12/22/22 would have been for Bryan. Okay, so see, then that's still something technically, I guess, for Bryan that's coming in, and it's not got a real authentication thing on it. Okay, and then there's a third one, I thought. See, this is just a warrant for AT&T. And see, now we have another one from GLDC signed by Gary Cohen on 12/23/22. Another one, Stephen Gordon. It's signed 3/24/25, just freaking signed. And this is for the 8458 phone. It says right here, AT&T did not provide timing advance records for phone number 509-592-8458. So why in the world is this in here, and why is the state acting like they have something? AT&T provided records for the phone number responsive to the warrant dated December 23rd. Okay, yeah, that's the one that Brett Payne said was technically like the first one he ever wrote, I think, for Bryan. So they provided records for the 8458 phone, but then straight up say right here that they did not provide the timing advance record. So then why is that even part of the document that we read the other day? Why are they even talking about GLDC being part of this then? GLDC didn't do anything, but their information is in there all over the place. Certified and all. Okay. And now, did we also not see anything signed by Mr. Jackson? Because that says right here, a forensic examination of the AT&T timing advance records in the state's possession show Mr. Jackson's association with the reports. So whatever this is, it's not attached to the self-authenticating record. Sounds like they're fibbing a lot about things that can be proven. So that's kind of stupid. Okay, there is work product in the state's possession created by the FBI showing the AT&T timing advance data. Oh, here it is. There is a work product in the state's possession created by the FBI showing the AT&T timing advance data was not only obtained, but regularly referenced and used in the course of this investigation. Its existence is well known to the investigators and the prosecutors. Chain of custody. Oh, $50 for Moto Max. We are acting as if we were surprised this kind of legal nonsense took place. I know, you're not wrong. The fix is in for BK, just as it was for Richard Allen. There's no fair trial in America, just guilt unless proven beyond a reasonably innocent. Yeah. That's how it seems. That's how it seems. That's definitely how it seems. Thank you for the 50. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying too. That's kind of like what I was sort of like hinting at the beginning of this. Like, we can sit here and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that this says this, da 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 da. But in the end, this is kind of what we've already known. It's just, again, more detailed. We're seeing even further proof that all of this has been crap. They're getting into the full details. They're getting into who's responsible. They're pointing names. It's becoming more real that what we had already been, suspecting, expecting to happen, expecting to hear what's there and what's not. We pretty much are just more shocked, honestly, I guess, that maybe we were on the right track more than a lot of people want to really give us credit for asking questions. It's probably a little bit what it is. Give me just 1 second. So yeah. Now remember, there was a court order. I can't remember exactly what document it was. I always mention it and then I never go back in and find it because, whatever. There's one that Judge signed where he wrote next to his actual signature that he had, like, court had issues with, like, chain of custody. So a lot of people were wondering if it had to do with like the knife sheath, the DNA samples, but now we have chain of custody being discussed in the AT&T advance records. So I wonder if that's what Judge was talking about way back then, or if it was something else and we have multiple issues with chain of custody, because that's a possibility. I mean, honestly, in this case, that's definitely a possibility. It's a lot of info. See, I know that's the problem. A lot of people that don't read the documents, they listen to mainstream, they're going to get a whiff of like what we're talking about now and be like, holy crap, because they had no idea that this was even possible. We've pretty much known, and we've been paying attention to all the back end stuff, but that's what's so crazy to me, because like the access to all the information is literally out there. But a lot of people are really just like born to not know that there's another way to get information besides just turning on the TV and listening to some big media corporation. Like there's a mass amount of people that really just don't even know these kinds of worlds out here on YouTube, on any of the platforms. They just live their existence, and they do cute filtery social media, and they don't really know about all this rest of this stuff. They really don't. So they really just get blindsided whenever everything changes. Come court, everything starts changing up and they had no clue, but the rest of us are in the back like, yep. Yeah. Insane stuff. Yeah. He wrote not only the training manuals, but he's even written the templates for them to be able to serve search warrants to these cell phone companies so that they don't miss out on information that's important. He literally lays out everything that they need to be asking for when it comes to getting the records. It should be, shouldn't it? It really should be like a huge story about how so much of this is a lie. It's wild to me how like News Nation would rather talk about some made up crap that they just literally come up with about how he has been planning on doing this since before he moved, because he bought a mask in January of 2022 or whatever. So instead of him, just living in a wintry area and buying a mask that's very common, that many people have to buy many times throughout the year, no, instead it's proof that he planned all of this for forever, and him taking the classes and doing a paper about being a good criminal forensic investigator and actually, doing your job and keeping the crime scene intact. Like, none of that is what it actually is. They are putting the darkest, most sinister twist on everything, the exact same way we saw them doing with the security cameras. Because remember, a lady came out a story from a lady came out and said that her apartment had gotten sort of like broken into. She knew that somebody had been in there. She felt real unsafe. So she went to Bryan and asked him to help her put like some sort of security system. Well, instead of him just being hailed as somebody that this woman found safe, she went to him and asked him for help because she felt safe asking him in a vulnerable moment, in a vulnerable time where she felt exposed, felt safe going and asking him to do this. They turned it, especially Nancy freaking Disgrace. Okay. They turned us into this. Oh, he's the one who broke into her apartment. He's the one who went through her underwear drawer, made her feel uncomfortable so he could coerce her to allow him into her house so he could put cameras. How was he going to know that she was going to go and ask him? Like, that is such the biggest chance, like game of chance to play. It's not even logical. It's not even logical. Not even logical. It makes no sense. Okay, let's see about this chain of custody stuff and see if it maybe is what Judge was talking about, because none of that's ever been brought back up again. It's probably should, because he wrote it on there for a reason. Chain of custody. The state has provided a certificate of authenticity to defense in relation to the timing advance records described above. The COA was created in April of 2024 and issued by the director of GLDC, Stephen Gordon. That's the document. That's the guy that we just saw. I have previously worked with and I am familiar with Mr. Gordon. The COA specifically states, I am qualified to authenticate the records attached here too because I am familiar with how the records were created, managed, stored, and retrieved. I have personal knowledge that in the event Mr. Gordon was required to testify, he would clarify that prior to May of 2023, Neither he nor the AT&T GLDC working group was involved with AT&T timing advanced records. Additionally, there is forensic evidence contained within the records that indicate they were not produced by AT&T GLDC, nor were they produced in the year of 2024. In reviewing this data, I contacted and communicated with Mr. Gordon to clarify the chain of custody related to these records. Mr. Gordon and an AT&T legal representee, a lawyer, informed me that Mr. Gordon would not be the individual to certify these records if required to do so, despite issuing their certificate of authenticity. So the lawyer said, yeah, he might have signed it, but he's not going to talk about it. Get over it. What? In my review of this information, there is evidence to suggest the chain of custody involving these records and COA were produced well outside of AT&T's normal practice. There is missing information and data associated with this request. The prosecution's prior claims that AT&T timing advanced data did not exist in 2022 further complicates this issue. It is my expert opinion that any testimony proffered on behalf of the FBI or AT&T on this matter would clearly reveal these issues. So what's he trying to say here? That this guy got paid money to lie? In the nicest way to put it? Because this guy's signature is on it, and he's saying this was produced outside of AT&T's normal practice. There's missing information and data associated with this request. The prosecution's prior claims that AT&T timing advanced data did not exist in 2022 further complicates this issue. Interesting. Okay. Evidence in direct contradiction to the state's motion. Now, this should be getting into physical location information, if I can remember correctly. Plus, he throws Jennings under the bus, and it's beautiful. He has no problem. He's like, she said this, and then on a contradicting document she signed, she said this, and Cyree has no issue. I want to see them go toe-to-toe in the courtroom after everything that Cyree just put in here about Hushley Jennings. Just insane how, like, this whole document is. It's beautiful. Evidence in direct contradiction to the state's motion. In my review of this investigation, I have read numerous emails sent and received by law enforcement pertaining to their investigation. One such email dated 11/15 of 22, so just 2 days after the crime, was sent to prosecutor Ashley Jennings at her Latah County government email address. This email is from Moscow Detective Lawrence Mowry. The email is informing Ms. Jennings that Detective Mowry's recent contact with FBI Special Agent Balance. S.A. Balance informed Detective Mowry that AT&T can provide timing advanced data and to make sure it's listed in the search warrant. Detective Mowry is specifically asking Prosecutor Jennings to make sure the AT&T timing data is listed in the warrant prior to the report ever being distributed by the working group known as GLDC. Funny, they did the same thing whenever Dawn Daniels had the search warrant for Bryan Kohberger's apartment signed, and she told him all about the DNA matching up and all about the IgG and the knife sheath and all the things, and then said, oh, and by the way, everything I just told you about the IgG stuff and the DNA and the ancestry stuff, you got to pretend like you didn't hear that. You got to sign this, but you got to sign it without knowing that we have a match. Like, I need you to do that for me. That kind of crap happens a lot in this case, doesn't it? That's wild. So many coincidences. Where were we? Okay, number 3. Ms. Jennings did respond to Detective Mowry's email inquiring on the specific verbiage needed to obtain AT&T timing advance. This email is abundantly clear evidence that Ms. Jennings was not only aware of the existence of AT&T timing advance in 2022, but also shows her intention to obtain it through legal process from AT&T. This email communication with Prosecutor Ashley Jennings is the same prosecutor, Ashley Jennings, who filed this current and contradictory motion stating AT&T did not produce timing advance records. It would do you a lot better if you would spell her name correctly when talking shit about her. It hits a lot better when it's pronounced and spelt correctly. A lot of people just don't understand that. There is clear and convincing evidence that not only was the FBI able to obtain AT&T timing advance records in 2022, but they did so with the knowledge of the prosecutors involved in this case. Missing AT&T timing advance. In my review of this investigation, based on my training and experience, it is incredibly unusual that the defendant's AT&T timing advance records were not obtained by the FBI. The FBI demonstrated their ability to obtain AT&T timing advance in November of 2022 by obtaining AT&T timing advance records on over 3,800 mobile devices, none of them belonging to the defendant or being the defendants. When it comes to location data from AT&T, timing advance data can be some of the most accurate data available. Additionally, it contains connections to the network other than the typical voice, text, or data connections. This allows law enforcement to not only see more data, but more accurate data. Anytime a defendant's locations are in question, a timing advance report would be asked for as a standard operating procedure. Moscow Police Department, by way of the FBI and with the knowledge of prosecutors, demonstrated their awareness of this standard procedure when they obtained AT&T timing advance data on over 3,800 mobile devices. When detectives and prosecutors requested and served 2 different search warrants to AT&T on the defendant's AT&T account, they requested the exact same timing advanced data they previously did when they obtained timing advanced data from AT&T on over 3,800 mobile devices. So just all the same information all over again. Okay. They also maintained the same process in utilizing the FBI to serve the legal demands on AT&T. There is no difference in the verbiage, legal process, or individuals that produced AT&T timing advance data on 3,800 mobile devices and the request for the defendant's AT&T timing advance data that allegedly yielded nothing. Nothing. Allegedly yielded nothing. Additionally, on December 23rd of 22, the FBI sent a communication directly to AT&T specifically detailing their request for the defendant's AT&T timing advance records. There is no reason to believe AT&T would not respond to this request. It is my expert opinion AT&T timing advance data did exist for the defendant's AT&T mobile device in 2022, and it was requested from AT&T by the investigators involved in this case. The investigators previously demonstrated their ability to obtain AT&T timing advance data in 2022. Failure to produce the defendant's AT&T timing advance data is either a gross deviation from standard practice or intentionally withheld from release in discovery, meaning they're not giving it over because it's exculpatory to the defendant. Because just like Bryan Kohberger said whenever he was arrested and his lawyer came out in Pennsylvania and talked to the media, Bryan has been very clear and adamant and never changing that his phone information is going to prove exculpatory. That pretty much sounds like that's exactly what the frick is happening here, which is why the state's not handing it over and pretending like they don't have it, because it proves they've got the wrong guy, is the gist of this entire document. Conclusion. It is my expert opinion in reviewing all of the evidence that has been disclosed by the state that AT&T timing advance data was available for the defendant's phone in 2022. There is overwhelming evidence showing the state obtaining and using AT&T timing advance data in the course of this investigation in 2022 on over 3,800 AT&T mobile devices other than the defendants. There is no doubt the author of this current motion, Prosecutor Ashley Jennings, knew or should have known AT&T timing advance data did exist in 2022. She was directly involved in the legal process obtaining it and was aware of work product created from it to further the investigation. The current motion is a deliberate misinterpretation to the court to further conceal false statements used to obtain probable cause against the defendant and conceal exculpatory evidence from discovery. I am prepared to provide witness testimony and relevant exhibits that support all of my opinions contained in this affidavit, even for what he has to say about Little Miss Jennings. It is my belief this evidence is beyond clear and convincing and will be supported by any competent expert in this field who reviews all of the data. This is not a battle of experts. The evidence supporting the opinions in this affidavit is overwhelming. And we get back to the original perfect last paragraph. In my nearly 30 years of working with and for prosecutors all over the United States, I have never witnessed such a deliberate attempt by prosecutors to mislead the court on evidence in such plain sight. Anyone making such a claim would have to believe the court is incapable of reviewing physical evidence in possession of the state and defense. It rises to a level beyond a simple miscommunication or oversight and is clear and intentional misrepresentation in the hopes to conceal a much larger issue. I respectfully request the court give this affidavit the due attention it deserves and explore issues further. Bam, boom, bomb, mic drop. All the things. Lots of things. The last paragraph is everything. I mean, he really gave it to him. That part. Yeah. It should be, because it says that literally no matter what you try to do, no matter how much you try to keep your freaking information private, all these companies have access to all your shit anyway. Doesn't even matter. Yep, taking them all. Taking them all. Wild shit. That's my problem I have right there. They know this. The parents, the Goncalveses. I can't speak for all the parents. I know for a fact not all the parents are out there saying and doing and talking and doing all the crazy shit that, these ones are doing. But for sure, that family, they know all this shit. It's just wild. It's insane. Okay, so we're going to read the other one, because it's about the cast report. Now, remember, the cast report's been a big problem here recently because we're being told that there's a 7-minute difference between what the cast report is apparently claiming the timing was that Bryan's phone would have gone off the network and what the local agency, Moscow Police Department, is trying to say. So there's like a lot of stuff in here already with just the cell phone problem, the location issue. And again, people get all pissy. They're like, how can you see that he bought a freaking mask? Well, I've explained why that doesn't mean shit to me. How can you see that he bought a K-bar? Well, because they're not telling me that it's a USMC K-bar. They're not showing me a freaking receipt. They can come out here and show me that Kaylee bought 9 well vodkas and spent $20-something or whatever the frick her price was. No, that was the DoorDash, whatever. So, okay, that's, again, they can show us DoorDash. They can show us the DoorDash receipt. They can show us the receipt for Kaylee going and buying 9 well vodkas at the corner club. But they can't show us the freaking receipt for this USMC sheath with a knife that they're claiming that he bought. But then again, they're not claiming he bought a USMC sheath now, are they? They're just claiming that he bought a knife. Or not even claiming, honestly, that he bought a knife for realio. They're claiming that the Amazon account that his entire family uses has a purchase. That's all it says. Does that purchase have a USMC logo? We don't know. They're not telling us. We don't know. No clue. And when it comes to the mask, you mean the mask that Dylan pretended like she didn't know what the frick it was, but there's photos of her freaking wearing one with her freaking weirdo boyfriend, and how like all the frats seem to just like love this certain kind of mask, and they all have them, and we just have seen like nothing but photos of these masked psycho kids everywhere, just all up in Ring cameras and stuff, looking like they're about to come in and burgle a place. No, she knew what that mask was. There's a reason why the cop asked her that question. And given the timing, probably because of that other suspect. Honestly, let's be for real. Put the timing together. That cop asked her that the 17th of November, around the same time they would have been scoping out this other dude. There's a reason for that. But they didn't have her describe in full what she saw or draw out what she saw until weeks after that, December the 1st. And honestly, what she drew doesn't really look too much like what they're trying to claim. It looks, I mean, I made fun of it, said it looks like an Among Us character, but in reality, it looks to me, how I was explaining it to my friend, that it looks like what the soldiers wear in Afghanistan to like keep the dust and stuff out their faces. Like you can see their eyes, and you know that they have like a mask thing over their face, but then there's like material, like some sort of protectant thing. And the way that she drew it at a point down here instead of like flat, I don't know. It's just not, come on. Like that was led, it was coerced, it wasn't original, it wasn't like coming out of her brain that same day, not even in the second interview that day. If he wasn't there, I don't care what he bought. If he wasn't there, I don't care how weird he is. If he wasn't in the vicinity of King Road whenever these lives were taken, I don't care about any of this other crap. Because he didn't do it if he wasn't there. Again, he's not Stretch Armstrong. He can't split himself in two and be in two locations at once. If he physically was not at that freaking house, he's not the person who did it. I mean, it really can't be any more simple than that. Okay, we're going to go over. Well, yeah, no, that was kind of funny. I don't know why she did that either. I'll go ahead and drop these in here. This is the one that we're about to read. Is this the one we just read? I'll drop that one in here too. She tried to say that it was because she didn't remember enough. I think it's because she knew that she couldn't really lie enough, I guess, when it comes to the sketch artist. Maybe she was going to start, well, you know, it could be because she didn't want to start describing somebody that she knew was going to end up being talked to because they were close to the friend group. Maybe she knew that if she started talking about what she really saw, she was going to end up describing somebody that looked very familiar to everyone. That's a big possibility, I guess, you know, because all kinds of questions could go to that one. Oh, I forgot what I was looking for a second. Okay, this is the AT&T one that we just went over. And the one that I posted previously is the one that we're about to read now, for those of you that want to follow along. Okay, now again, this is about the cast report from Special Agent Balance. And I agree. Receipts. Show me the freaking Amazon receipt. Show me the Amazon receipt. Right? I feel like he's going to look, as much as I hate to say it, and I really do hate to say it, because I don't feel like they got the right guy here. And most of you guys that are in here don't feel like they got the right guy here. But I have a feeling that it's not going to go the way we want it to go if Hippler doesn't start not being so much like Judge Gull. There's a lot of Delphi happening here. It's literally almost like Idaho watched Delphi and then was like, hold my beer. Because now we are all very much more aware of the bullshit, and we're watching even harder, even closer with microscopes and stuff, magnifying glasses and stuff. And they're still playing. They're still playing all these games. Maybe he's trying to one-up Gull. Seriously, it's bad. It's pretty bad. Okay. Let's go ahead and read this. We don't need to know that you're over 18, so we're not going to read that one again. Make it bigger so y'all can see it better. Why does it move over when I switch pages? Like, I didn't change anything. Why do you do this? I wish it would stay still. Okay. Okay. To avoid repetition, please refer to my training and experience in the other affidavit. Okay. In preparing this affidavit, I reviewed the motion in limine number 2, vague and undisclosed expert testimony filed by the defendant on 2/24 of 25. I guess I'll go ahead and open that one. See how the dates go away? 2/24, number 2. We went over that one. That's proof because it opened on page 3. Let's see, what was this one about majorly? Okay, so this is where we learned about a couple of the experts. Oh, okay, so this is where we learned for the first time this name. This Mr. and Mrs. Barnhart. Like, I was going to do a little video about who I found that this actually was, but it looks like their names and stuff are already out there in a document. Basically, they work with Celebrite, the cell phone thingy or whatever. Which is actually kind of interesting because the video that I watched them do an interview on, they were talking about like AI on social media, like AI fake photos through Snapchat and stuff like that. I guess I'll still put a little bitty thing together so I can give y'all some links that y'all can go through when it comes to the Barnharts. They're a married couple. But this is where we learned about all of the stuff that was coming in late. A bunch more names about some of the experts that we're going to be talking. That's the document they're talking about for this one. Okay. I have reviewed all of the state's responses in reference to this motion, as well as Special Agent Balance's draft report and final report. I am addressing the matter of FBI Special Agent Nicholas Balance's anticipated testimony in this affidavit and what has not been disclosed. I have reviewed the initial reports, final report, first discourse, second disclosures, and now the third disclosure. Despite this progression of disclosure, Special Agent Balance's opinions on the relevant issues at hand still have not been disclosed. I have reviewed disclosures in reference to SA Balance's interpretations and opinions relating to AT&T call detail records. They are vague and at times contradictory. At this time, I am unable to identify his methodologies and or resulting opinions in most of his work, preventing me from any real analysis to determine the basis of his opinions. Okay, hold on. Okay, number 7. The disclosures in reference to the facts and data relied on by SA Balance to form his opinions regarding AT&T call detail records are conflicting and void of substance. His work does not contain his methodology other than a paragraph. He does not mention AT&T, handoff data, drive test mapping, or any other critical methodology required in this analysis. The report does not provide explanation why SA Balance may or may not rely on AT&T data, preventing me from any real analysis of his opinion. I regularly work as a subject matter expert, and it is standard in my field for experts' opinions to be well documented and based on accepted best practice or methodology. The facts and data relied upon to reach an opinion are known and disclosed. SA Balance's work is a departure from the field standard. He has not disclosed his methodology and analysis for his opinions. A. This is partially due to contradicting methodologies that have been disclosed. B. This is partially due to vague work product absent of any real substance as to facts and data. And C. This is partially due to changes that evolved through iterations of work product without explanation and documented by facts and data as a basis. I did note that SA Balance has a dual role in this case. He is an expert witness for the state, and using these same skills, he was involved in the actual investigation from the onset. He was co-located with investigators throughout the investigation. This wind in this storm is like bringing in some funky stuff. His opinions and interpretations were relied on by investigators and prosecutors. These interpretations and opinions found their way into every probable cause statement supporting search warrants against the defendant. Yes, literally everything about this case, everything a Fed touched. And the majority of it is Douglas and Balance, literally the whole way through. He is referenced in nearly every search warrant issued. He is. For real. He really is. His opinions and interpretations were all integral pieces of building probable cause against the defendant. And never mind the fact that Moscow PD would be the one that would like serve the search warrants, at least the ones that we are able to see. And the feds would be the one to get the information. And then Moscow would be emailed information or an analysis or whatever next steps from the feds like weeks after the information got there. Like, that's the only case you're working on. Why is it taking you weeks to go through stuff? And you're not looking at it together. Like, you're literally holding on to all the information and emailing it to the actual lead agency weeks after the fact, telling them what to do instead of working on it together. Like, literally, Moscow was just like a puppet. The feds just like pulled the strings. They did everything. We've gone through this. They've done everything from being the ones who swabbed his cheeks to being the ones who wrote down all the inventory reports from whenever they arrested him to being the ones who actually did the forensic download on his phone. The feds are the ones who did all of those actions. But the IGG was just a tip. Hilarious how stupid they think everybody is. Unfortunately, most of his opinions and interpretations provided to investigators and prosecutors are not supported by the evidence in this case. It is the very reason I was awaiting SA Balance's report detailing the facts, data, methodology, and analysis relied on to make such egregious errors. I expected to see work that explained the conclusions as well as properly addressing omitted analysis and errors in the work. The omitted work in this case is exculpatory to Mr. Kohberger. The intentional omission of exculpatory evidence. So that's technically, I guess, two things, really, because Bryan has told us from the beginning again that his cell phone information was going to prove this, and that's what now is being discussed. But then we're also being told by one of the two investigators that the defense team has that Bethany has exculpatory information as well. So that's two. That's two exculpatories that shouldn't have anything to do with each other. Two completely separate things. The intentional omission of exculpatory evidence. SA Balance did not include analysis of AT&T handoff data provided by AT&T for the defendant's mobile device on November 13th of 2022 between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. The handoff data in the defendant's AT&T records during this time is exculpatory to the defendant. And this matters because this is in between the time they're claiming that he left his apartment and was heading towards Moscow. So if you're going to try to prove a direction that somebody went, you need to be including the information from whenever that person first started their traveling, and definitely include up until the point where you're trying to say, this was the determining turn here. It was either left or right. And he went this way and here's the proof. Well, no, he's saying he went the other way and he's got the proof. They have the proof. It's been proven that they would have had the proof. They're just choosing to ignore the fact that it exists on purpose. And again, it's because it's exculpatory. It proves he went the other direction. SA Balance did not include any analysis of AT&T data regarding 23 time periods in his report that he appears to be suggesting the defendant was at or very near the crime scene. We went over that little section of that one document in last night's live. This opinion appears to be based on cell tower connections, primarily handoff connections, in the defendant's AT&T records. It is difficult to determine the process or methodology SA Balance relied on to suggest this connection for several reasons because the AT&T records do not support the statement. There is no report or analysis detailing the defendant's movements between June of 2022 and December of 2022, which would be needed to surmise the defendant's phone was at or near the crime scene 23 times prior to the homicides. So all that time they're trying to claim that he was doing some crazy shit and they don't even have that information at all. They don't have any of it at all. That's wild. There is no mapping showing the network connections relied upon. There are no drive test coverage maps of the other than one cell site. So just one coverage map is being looked at. That's it. Twiz has more information than that on his stuff on Twitter. A recent disclosure about what SA Balance may testify to reads, handoffs are mapped on a case-by-case basis, which is determined by the needs of the investigation. From my experience as a subject matter expert in the field, the claim is outside of any established best practice or reliable methodology of analysis. The standard is that all data must be analyzed and considered, regardless of how it impacts the investigation. Exactly. I have reviewed the disclosures about what SA Balance will testify to and do not find the disclosures provide further analysis to support his opinions. The first cell site recorded in this session is the only cell site that is chosen based on measurements made by the cell phone, representing the best signal from these measurements and ranking of surrounding cell sites. This theory can be disproven with the AT&T records themselves. This response does not explain why he would use handoff data at certain times while ignoring it at other times. The coverage maps are created using the actual measurements taken by the GAR and are interpolation using the natural neighbor algorithm. In other words, it's looking at known values at known locations to determine the expected value at a location where a measurement couldn't have been taken. The natural neighbor algorithm was first published by Robin Simpson in 1981, and it is widely accepted in both academia and as an industry standard in determining the coverage of a particular cell site within a broader cellular network. This statement falls well short of any real disclosure of how the GAR product estimates cell site coverage areas. I have been in direct contact with Gladiator Forensics, and this statement contradicts what Gladiator Forensic communicated to me about their own products. So he's saying everything that SA Balance put right here is a lie, because he called the company directly and they're like, no, bro, that's not how it works at all. Did they not think that any of their stuff was going to be double checked? Wild. The recent disclosure states, page 13 depicts cellular phone usage by the 8458 phone on November 13th of 2022, and Balance is expected to testify that when the 8458 phone interacted with the AT&T network at 2:47 and 29 a.m., the phone was not at the Bryan Kohberger residence marked BK on the map. Rather, it was southeast of the Bryan Kohberger residence as depicted by the drive test data. Balance is also expected to testify that he analyzed additional handoff data that occurred during this data session and that the 8458 phone stopped communicating with the network at 2:54. Pretty much people are under the assumption at this point he was on a phone call. A lot of people believe that he either got a call or made a call at 2:47 in the morning and that phone call ended at 2:54. That's your 7 minutes. That's what most people believe. It sounds like that's probably what happened. This disclosure does not provide an analysis or opinion as to what SA Balance found when he analyzed the additional handoff data that occurred during this data session. This is the very data I previously testified about having been omitted from SA Balance's work product and opinions. So that's just more proof that we're going to have to go back and re-listen to whatever he actually said now that we have all this additional information. I mean, we actually went through and reviewed it before. I actually went through my videos to see, and I don't think that I recorded it on my channel, but we did, I think, like a review on it. I don't know if that was before I started doing lives or not. I don't think I was. I'll have to go back and check, but we're definitely going to go back over his actual testimony in the courtroom. Okay. SA Balance conducted a significant amount of drive test data, has not provided that data to support his work. Drive test data is collected when an investigator takes radio frequency survey equipment out into the field and collects signal measurement of the cellular network. By driving specific grid patterns through an area, it is possible to capture enough data to reliably estimate a cell site's coverage area. In this case, SA Balance and SA Kennedy spent several days conducting drive tests in and around Pullman and Moscow. In all, they collected well over 500,000 data points, enough data points to effectively map the coverage areas of all relevant cell sites related to this case, that being roughly 24 cell sectors. SA Balance has only produced coverage mapping for 4. So he's got all the data that he needs, but he's not actually using it all the way that he's supposed to be. That is such a low percentage that he's actually incorporating there. SA Balance has collected the required data and does have access to the required software to map all of the sectors he analyzed in his drive test efforts. The conversion of raw data to a coverage map is relatively non-existent when compared to the effort required to collect the raw data. SA Balance, in accordance with FBI CAS policy, had his work product peer-reviewed by another FBI CAS agent, Kennedy. There are official reports stating Kennedy did peer review SA Balance's work product and signed off as it being complete and accurate. I created the first subject matter expert certification course in the United States in this field for state and law enforcement. I have taught this course for over a decade, certifying over 100 subject matter experts in this field. Part of that course includes the peer review process. The standards in the field dictate that data must support a peer review. I have personally completed well over 50 peer reviews myself. The state has not disclosed the required data to support a peer review of SA Balance's work. So there's that. Missing information on purpose because it proves Bryan wasn't at the location. He knows it exists. They're acting like it doesn't exist. Ashley Jennings is pretending like she thinks it also doesn't exist, even though they have proof that she knew that it did exist. There's a whole circle of bullshit going on here. Kind of crazy, kind of wild, kind of expected. Yeah, because how much extra money had they gotten? So much they ended up having to they basically like bankrupted the freaking defense team because they ended up having to go into a whole different thing, a whole different like process in paying them. Yeah. How she's still not fired as of 9 p.m. Texas time, I don't understand. Like, damn, he's calling them. Oh, it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, they can't say that it's not accessible, that it's not available, that it's not there, but they got it for almost 4,000 devices before they even had Bryan Kohberger's name. The 9th is coming. The 9th is coming. The 9th is coming. She keeps mentioning the 9th and the 10th, like just in case it ends up like going past. There's a possibility, I guess. It's just a lot. There's so much here. There's so much here. And Ashley Jennings did this. And then she signed this very hypocritical document. Wild, wild, wild. Yeah, she's a liar. Because it doesn't say that anywhere. She's saying that just to say it. Alec Trev said, I think Banfield and Inton did a vid earlier in the week when the mass talk came out, and she directly said, and we also know he bought a K-bar knife with the USMC logo on it. It doesn't say that anywhere, though. That's the problem, is that she's making shit up. Making shit up. I know. Like, that's why I am, like, so far behind, because there's so much new information. And I really don't want to just come out here and be like, okay, this document, now this document, now this document in a video that's freaking 8,000 million hours long and have all the subjects put together. It makes it more confusing, and we just can't do it like that. We just can't do it like that. It's just not going to work. That's what I believe. I don't think at all that if he thought what so freaking ever, even with missing information, that Bryan was innocent, that he would be standing here doing what he's doing. I like how we do it too. It makes a lot more sense. Where is this being said? Somebody left a comment on a video somewhere about that, and I can't find that anywhere. Okay, well, yeah, they have a website. I'll show you on the website. It's probably here. Remember whenever I was trying to get information on the 911 call, and I called like the direct team for Ada County? I'm going to show it to you guys. Let's see how it was I found it. Criminal division, maybe. Magistrate Division. Court calendar, maybe. I want to show y'all where it said it. I mean, I showed it to you on that video. Ooh. Got a bunch of people stuff here. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to have to find it. Oh, I got it moved over. It's on their post on their YouTube channel. Yeah, somebody mentioned something about it, but I never look on their YouTube channel because there's never anything going on over there, so I didn't even think to look for like a message or anything. But I know that they have a website, and whenever I was trying to get the information for the 911 call, the lady I called at the direct number was just like, oh, not that I called at the direct number, but the one I talked to before that on the chat, she said, what did she say? That they can only like direct us to the website, that she couldn't give us any other information, just to go to the website. And that's where I got the email address to ask them directly at the team. And that's never I called that number. That's supposed to be directly to like the team working the stuff for the Kohberger case. And she had no freaking clue what I was talking about. She had no freaking clue what I was talking about. Yeah, look, there it is. Future public proceedings. Oh, y'all can't see that. Hold on. You see that? Future public proceedings in this case that are live streamed under the court's order will be streamed at this address. Streams will no longer be routed through the previous YouTube page. This change is effective starting with the next hearing scheduled on April 9th, meaning that that one's not going to be on YouTube. And the website doesn't work. Maybe get rid of the HTML in the link. No. Hold on. Let's bring it back up here. That link did not work. He goes to the YouTube page. Who they lying to? Y'all are seeing this, right? Y'all are seeing me try to do this, right? So I went here and clicked up here on court live stream, and it goes to this tab. All counties, Ada County, Stephen Hippler, go to watch, and it pops up the YouTube page. So let me try this now. District 4, maybe just like by itself without the other part of it in there. No, this freaking link doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, I know, and I'm trying to get the link that they're giving us to watch it to work, and it's not working. And whenever I click on the stuff that's on the actual Idaho website for Hippler, I go to watch, and it pops up the YouTube page. Yeah, somebody didn't fix it. Somebody needs to fix it. That's wild. Like, why? Here's another one, maybe. Sort by name. No. Why do they have to suck at everything? Because now everyone's going to be like, holy crap, where do we go to actually watch? Because it's not working. Look, now I tried it a different way and it's 404 not found. They're going to end up having something come out. They're going to have a document that comes out with the information. Like, how are y'all going to be this lame? Okay, look here, right here. It shows this. For information regarding State versus Bryan Kohberger, click here. Okay, so this is exactly the way that it looked whenever I was looking at it before. Now I'm going to click on this live stream button. Sorry, this media is offline. Well, no shiitakes. Okay, I don't know what they have wrong in here, but it's this. I mean, it looks like it's the same freaking website. So that's the one. I just put it in the chat. That's the one that I went to and was able to find. And I'm going to put in the one that I just got from their website so I can look at them together and see if they're different. COI.ICS. I mean, the only thing different is that the one I took from the URL has the HTTP and this one doesn't. I tried that, Murky Piglet. It took me to the stupid YouTube page. It's right here. See right here, it says Stephen Hippler. And if I click on watch, it loads this page that they don't want us to go to anymore. But I found this one. That's why I put the link for it there. The first one I put in the chat is the one where this one actually pops up. I don't know why it did that crazy stuff. Let me do this. Let me give y'all this one. Let me give y'all this one. This one is where you'll see this, where it has this 7500 number that I called the other day in the Kohberger case at adacounty.id.gov email. And then you just click on the live stream button and it'll open right here. So this is going to be where everything is going to be. I'm going to go back and save this one right here. Because that was wild. They need to know that their shit don't work. Like, I need you to fix it, please. Fix it. Y'all using so much money on this case. You could at least have the freaking website working. Oh, but thank you for reminding me because I actually completely forgot about that. Somebody posted that the other day and I was like, yeah, it's okay. We have the one that goes to the actual, we have the one that now goes to the court thing. Yeah, I'll be streaming it as long as they don't stop us from streaming it because I don't want to get in trouble. If they ever come in and be like, you're not allowed to stream it anymore because it's coming from our court website, I'm going to cry. I'll be like, how are we supposed to really interpret what's freaking happening if we're not watching it together and discussing things and catching what gets missed by some people? Like, it's just such a better experience to watch it together. I mean, I don't even get on screen. I sit and chat with you guys. It's just a lot. Crazy shit going on. See, I know, and that's what really bothers me. He sounded like he really was thinking about doing the Franks hearing because before they even entered court, he was like, just in case, give me the next 2 or 3 weeks of your schedule. Because if I decide to do this, I'm not going to be coming and hunting you down to clear this out. Give me the days that are clear now. Leave them clear because I might want to talk about this. And then it all went away. It all went away. I don't know. And I don't know if it's all of them. Again, I know for a fact it's not one of them, but the Goncalves is not using their voice for what it needs to be used for here is just gross. He's going to end up regretting it. Like, and I'm privy to a lot of information about what these people are doing in the background. And I could really come out here and just make them really look like what they are. Like, I could come out here with so much information about stuff that they're saying in Discord groups and Facebook groups and under fake names that have been proven to be members of that family that are going in there and just being disgusting human beings. I could come out here and show all of you guys that, and I don't. Because it's pointless, because I say something about something when it comes to Samantha and the way that Steve is no alpha and is nothing but a little beta who's wrapped around Christy's finger. And I'm the bad guy for being honest, but a piece of shit dad who's just out here faking and pretending. I have no doubt that missing their daughter is horrible and that this is something insane to deal with. But whenever your true colors are showing and I see your true intentions for being so out here in the spotlight really doesn't have anything at all to do with justice for your child, I don't want to even know your face. So I just leave a lot of that to my own brain. Yo, they're going real far. They going nasty far. Okay. They going talking shit about people's wives and all kinds of nasty shit far under like fake names and stuff, but then like showing photos and passing stuff back and forth that proves that it's them. And it's just no point in coming out here and doing none of that because their true colors are already showing enough. It's too much. No one who's a real alpha is going to tell you he's an alpha. Yeah, you're right. No one who's an actual alpha has to remind you. You just know. Yeah, no shit. They're not helping. And not all the family members are okay with the way that the Goncalveses are behaving either. Not all of the victims' families are okay with their shenanigans. If anything, they're like worried that it's going to cause the family's issues when it comes to actually being in the courtroom because of how the way the family acts. Oh, really? Hi, I'm from Jamaica and we are studying this case in class. We all think he's innocent. That's wild. That's cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, look, the stuff makes no sense, guys. Stuff makes no sense. That's a good question. Who has all that energy if you're grieving and trying to figure it out? It's not serving shit. It's serving the attention that they want from going in front of their cult and doing what they do. My kid just laughed real loud. But it's serving their need for greed and attention. My mom went to Jamaica. She loved it. It was her favorite place. She wants to go back so bad. There's just a lot of stuff going on here. There's so much stuff going on here. But I guess that's it, guys. 2 hours. That's pretty good. 1,000 people in here. 1,000 people that are going to now be able to go in and share the truth that all this crazy stuff is going on and there's missing information and Ray is calling people out by names. Kicking ass, taking names later. Yeah, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Yeah. I would love to hope so, but I just don't know anymore. I mean, you have to think deeper than just this one case. What do we always see? And they don't always fall. Look at the stuff. For example, Diddy. All the stuff that Diddy did to get where he was, all the stuff and all the people that he hurt, and how many years is he able to live on top? I mean, yeah, he's getting it now, but how many people that are just like him and corrupt like him and all these different governments and all these different levels of celebrity and politician and financial people and all these people, they do horrible things. They line their pockets with blood money and they live their lives and they die of old age in their big houses with their home health care and, extravagant funerals and paid off mansions. Like, being deceitful and dishonest is the only way to actually get anywhere. I mean, it's really like all you really see at all. It's like it's flashed in your face all the time. People doing horribly disgusting things right there in front of you, but their lives are great. They don't have any worries, no troubles. It's kind of stupid. The universe is screwed up. It's, yeah. Greed, literally, like, it's just money. It's pretty gross. Yeah, and that's why I, like, can't really find myself being, like, in this career path from what I know. Like, I already have determined that I have just, like, $60,000 that's just gonna sit on my credit till the day that I die. Because a student loan is not a joke. But I just know eventually someone will try to ask me to do something real stupid. And I know who I am as a human. And I know that I'll go to jail if someone comes up to me and tries to get me to do some crazy shit when we are, like, taking oaths to do better. It's just too much. It's just too much. It just makes me sad and depressed. Just makes me sad and depressed. It's just so annoying. Well, I appreciate it, Mama D. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here to listen to me read the documents, because to me it's important, and I'm really glad that a lot of you people believe it's important too, because so many people don't care. So many people don't care. I know it's horrible. Ugh, I'm not even using it. Well, I guess I'm using it a little bit here because it's the same subject, but it's just so stupid. Woo! $80,000. I know it's so much. Hey there, Tara. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a concentration in criminal forensic science. I got halfway through. No, I don't. I have my associates. I got halfway through my bachelor's whenever Ariel was diagnosed with her HIV and all of her appointments and everything, and I just mentally couldn't take it. I tried for a while, and it just wasn't going to happen. I had to stop. So I ended up getting through my associates and ended up getting back on it. So I have, like, the money that it took to get my actually full associate's degree, and then the money for the tuition for getting halfway through my bachelor's. Because I was on, like, an accelerated program where I would have been able to do it in, like, half the time. But with everything that was going on, there was just no way. Not working full time, having all that stuff go on with her and everything else, there was just no way. But yeah, it's an associate's in criminal justice with a concentration in forensic science. That's what it is. And it's, like, torn to shit and got corners missing. It sat in the shed before we moved forever. It was literally, it's got, like, stains on it. It's just everywhere. I mean, I can't really finish because I'm at, like, my max with student loans. I can't get any other loans or anything to go back to school. So it just is what it is. I just figure out life as it goes. It's kind of like how it's always been. I've kind of always had to, like, fend for myself. The program got shut down, so you weren't even able to finish? Holy shit. That's wild. They owe you a damn refund. Criminal justice with a paralegal. There you go. Yeah, I just got to figure it out. I mean, it's been working okay so far. As long as I make the right choices and stay away from men. Everything's been working out fine since I've stayed away from men. Oh yeah, she's undetectable. She's fine. She's on a special shot. She's been good. She's had it for 10 years. It's quite wild. You can't even tell. Can't tell. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Go relax. Lavender tea and Grey's Anatomy, I think. I'm lame on a Friday. I'm lame on any day of the week. I'd rather just, like, be in my house all the time anyway. So y'all go and have a great Friday night. It's only 9:30. Y'all still got time. Y'all were here for school, and now it's time for some fun. So y'all still have time to go out on a Friday. I'm not. I'm going to get on my couch. I'm going to get on my couch. Hey, $30 an hour. That's more than I make in my medical job, and I've been working at that damn thing for 8 years, okay? So there ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. We're all hermits. Freaking right. See? Freaking right. You guys are great. You'll have a great Friday. I'll probably be live tomorrow to talk about some other stuff. Right? I love men, just not in my house. Like, there's a guy that's kind of just like my best friend at this point, that we're both just sort of sick of humans. And he's been sick of humans for years, and I've been sick of humans for years. And so we just kind of talk shit about humans as besties. We live states away, and we just talk shit to each other. That's what, as far as a man I'm going to deal with, is a guy that I just talk shit about other people to on the phone. Nothing in person, nothing. Just stay away. I don't want to share my bed. I don't want you in my house. Get out of my kitchen. Don't touch my coffee cups. I want my things how they are. And I love my cat. I love my dogs. And I love my cat. Are you talking about Kohberger's earphones? I don't know. Actually, let me tell. I said this the other day. I think I said this yesterday. Let me repeat it though, even though it's not anything that has any proof to it. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't have any proof to it. I'm just repeating it because of that situation right there. Somebody posted a comment about how one of Kohberger's family members were in one of the Facebook groups about the thumbs up photo and the button up, because it's buttoned all the way. Like, it's buttoned all the way up, top button. And we have the information about his dexterity issues and stuff now, right? His family member said that everyone that's talking shit basically about him in this photo are going to feel horrible whenever the truth comes out, because what they claim, and again, this is just something going around, they claim that Kohberger took that picture for his mom to show her that he actually was able to like finish buttoning up the button the full way, because he's always had issues with that. Like growing up, the way that the hands have to be at a certain angle to get the button, and the thumbs up and the button was to show, hey mom, I buttoned the top button. So if it's really just that sadly innocent, it's really sad how people are coming out here and attacking him in a million different ways. To me, he just looks like a guy who got dressed to go do something on a Sunday. It's really just like wild. So it's probably the truth. He probably really does have this dexterity problem, and holy crap, he finally got his button all the way. Some people struggle with that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and put my little disclosure thingy ending stuff on here. Again, you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for you guys being here. Thank you for the new members, the super stickers, the super chats, the gifted memberships. Again, don't forget that we do have our, what is today? We do. We have our members only Monday live coming up on the 31st of this month. So this very next Monday. I'm glad I looked. Dang, this month went by quick. We have our members only live on the 31st. And don't forget that there is a link in the members only section for the Google Share Drive, where a bunch of the documents that I go over here and highlight are in there for you guys to view. I'll have the link out for the members only live probably tomorrow, just so that it's there ahead of time. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here now. Let Grey's Anatomy make me upset for the rest of the night. Y'all have a great night. Again, thank you so much for being here. Let me roll this out real quick. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. Okay, you guys. See y'all.